Hello and welcome to Tabletop Odyssey. My name is Jay and today the FFG Overlords have blessed us with the Imperial Death Trooper article, and yeah, we sort of expected this to come, but after we missed the Imperial Specialist article and that never came out, I was like, maybe this will never happen. It has happened. They're coming out next week with Krennic, and we get to see them in all of their glory, and I really like them. Now, they might be a little bit difficult to use and a little bit finesse in situations, but I think they are possibly a very good, interesting unit. So let's have a look. Without further ado, wait, no, like and subscribe. Ding ding. That is the classic. But let's get on. Let's have a look at what we've got here. So obviously we've seen a lot of this before. We'll just have a look at closer detail at the actual card. Disciplined one. So when they're issued an order, they can remove one suppression. That's going to make them, harder to get rid of in terms of just suppressed off the board. They've got 2 courage anyway. They have offensive surge and defensive surge, which is tasty. I like them. They've got precise 2, which when you combine with ready 1 could be really strong, especially when you consider Krennic's order that gives units a standby. You could, in theory, give a unit a standby. They'll get an aim token because of that, and then they could re-roll that amount of dice if the standby triggers. Nice little combo there, potentially, at least. Quite a lot of potential upgrades that they can take. They are 76 points by default for 4 of them, which I think's fair. It's like, when you consider it's almost 2 units of Rebel troopers, it's a little bit like, oh, but with all the extras and stuff, I actually think it ends up being about right. So the range 3 weapon is black dice. Hallelujah. No white dice for the Imperials there. That range 1 to 2 is a really interesting one when you consider about precise and the actual range of standby. You could, in theory, get a really good 8 white dice shot off with precise. It could actually be circumstantial, but it could be really useful. And if you do get them up in close combat, if you decide to charge them, well, then they're going to power you in your face with red dice. So interesting card all around, but we already knew all of that. The interesting things here, I'm not sure which of these weapons we'd seen, so forgive me, I can't remember off the top of my head, but so we'll just talk about them both. The grenade conflict launcher 1 to 2, red dice blast. Yes, you need to recover it. To like once you use it, fine. Fine. But you could always use the next configuration, which I'll show you right now because it's actually important. You could use this. Start off with this. It gets exhausted, and then along the way you do a recover. Flip over to the other card. Get the red dice at range 2. That is the combo for me. You start off with this, and you flip to that with the recover. Sweet. Yeah, and this is the one. I don't think we'd necessarily seen this, but having you can start off the game with a range 4 weapon that is black dice and suppressive. Ooh, I really like that as a start. And as I said, you then maybe want to move them up into mid-range. Maybe you move them up into mid-range and you recover into that. And as you've just seen, well, here's the DLT 19D Trooper. He's basically a DLT upgrade, except he's better in every way. Basically, he's got extra dice, and he's more expensive. But you might be like, well, how does that make him better? It's a defensive and offensive surge, so he is actually better, and the cost surely represents that. So yeah, I think that's a fair price. 34 points does seem high, but when you consider the average cost of the Death Trooper unit, well, I think it's probably okay. And the other upgraded unit, the DTF-16, you're paying for the Compel. Yes, it's nice to have a white extra dice at range 3 if you want that, and but you're paying for that Compel. And Compel's an interesting ability. It might be a good idea to get 1 or 2 units with Compel on if you're going to have Snowtroopers. Get them on the board. Get it so your Snowtroopers can flame if they need it. And yeah, there you have it. He becomes the leader of the unit, of course, which I don't think the other one does. So that one's just like a normal standard heavy. This heavy becomes the leader, so he is actually the last to die. So everybody will get Compel. Yeah, I think that's pretty much everything. Yeah, it recommends duck and cover and that kind of stuff, but that's pretty much everything. So, yeah, ignoring cover at range 1 to 2 as this image is illustrating is potentially also really strong. Yes, you only get 1 shot of it, but when you consider there's only 6 turns in the game, you don't often get many shots. Like, the game is about seizing your opportunities. So you can start off with a range 4 shot black dice suppressive, hinder one unit completely. You move up, you recover, maybe behind cover or what have you, and then you get into range 2 and you completely destroy another unit with red dice. I like them. I think they're potentially really, really good. I don't know how many units you necessarily want to run because they are quite expensive. And with the potential of that fact that we'll be getting extra, like a different unit of core troopers, which may or may not be better than the ones we have, it's going to be a balancing act. As for the miniatures, the 3D sculpts look fantastic. The sculpts, they look pretty decent, and it's nice to have the variety, at least in my opinion. I'm really happy. I'm very curious about the quality of these minis in comparison to normal stormtroopers, because obviously they are sort of similar in a sense. Obviously they're unique in their own way as well. But for example, the stuff on the arm, can you see here? I'm very intrigued because on the core set, sometimes you could very easily fill that detail in with a spray can. So definitely intrigued what will come out there. But yeah, as I said, you start off with this, you recover into that. That's pretty cool as a concept. And you know, even if you've then exhausted it, you can either choose your poison. You can either pick 2 white dice at range 2, or just stick with decent red dice, or try and charge in and get a red dice. All pretty intriguing. The one thing here is that they have only 1 wound. A lot of the other special forces like Wookiees and the Royal Guard, they have multiple wounds. These guys have 1 wound, so if you die, that's a problem. So what you could possibly combo with them would be the medical droids, because the medical droids, if you bring back a Death Trooper who's just died that round, you're getting more bang for your buck, basically. What is it? It's nearly 20 points per model. If you have a leader, it probably is 20 odd points per model. That's much better bang for your buck than a Stormtrooper who's 11 points. So I think droids and these have potential. I think there is potential in the game for like an elite army. We don't generally see that at the minute. We see trooper spam, 6 of these 6 troopers, 4 storms, 2 flamers, and that makes it. And then snipers, we see that because they're for the points very effective. I think there is potential here for a really game-changing action across the board. We're going to get extra vehicles, so we could see more armor. That in its own right could change the game. You could have the droids that report armor. You could have a very heavy armor-orientated list. So you could then see Ion again, which we've not seen for Yonks, if ever. And in the same way, with these sort of special forces that have they're highly skilled, but it's let's say easy to kill. But obviously, red dice and cover is not necessarily easy, but a wound kills them and you lose a lot of points in that action. Having the droids and an elite force could be another archetype of a list, and we could see this archetype where we could have elites, vehicles, trooper spam, and they could all be as decent as each other, and that would be the dream. I don't think the game's like massively unbalanced or anything, but it would be nice if all these kinds of basic archetypes of list ideas were all reasonably effective. And I think the Death Troopers, and to some extent the Pathfinders, are trying to edge toward that way. I don't feel like the Pathfinders personally are all that great. I feel like the Death Troopers edge it in this sense, but I think then the Rebel Commandos are better than the Imperial Scouts. Not necessarily when it comes to sniper teams. I think it's the other way around. But I feel like the full man commandos are better, if that makes any sense, which I'm not sure it did, but I tried, and I'm going to stop. So that's the Death Troopers. We're going to see more Legion news shortly. We've obviously got the core troops for the Imperials, and I think we'll probably hear something about the very far future in the very near future. So hold on to your belts, waistcoat, hold on to your breeches. What's that phrase? Don't know. Hold on to them anyway. Hold on to your horses. That doesn't make any sense. I'm going. Have a beautiful day. So if you like this video, you can like it if you want. It's just me talking about some news. But if you've not already subscribed to the channel, please do that, as that actually really does help. So thank you to all to my Patreons as well. I don't mention that enough, and I really should. And yeah, have a beautiful day. Let me know your thoughts about these guys. What do you think about that? Start off with the 4-1, pay those 8 points, get that range 4. Black dice suppressive, recover, move into range 2, red dice blast. Rubbing my hands. I'm excited. If you manage to pull that off, it's strong. Obviously, your opponent will be like, no, bro, I ain't letting you do that. I do apologise. I really should stop doing accents. Have a beautiful day and goodbye.